This is the studio of a painter. These are her creations, reflection of her mind, the mind of a woman with agency who knows exactly her goal, who knows what she wants to do. So her creation is not only with colors, brushes, paints, and easel. She's also decided the course of her life, introducing the painter and her daughter. Madam, would you tell us your name, please?
Eleena Banik.
And the young lady, what is your name? Right. Now, what is very interesting about the mother and the daughter, the mother who is a celebrated painter from India, she would talk about her creations as we see all around her. Her daughter is also her creation. This is the woman we see every day. And Madam Eleena Banik, she has depicted her life here. Ma'am, that's Shorbujaya, and you say it's a struggle. And then at the background, if you would explain me.
Background, it's a pond or some water surface with some red lotus on it and some lotus leaves. So lotus is the flower in India, which is also the national flower, but it is not at all rare. It is always everywhere in India, in the villages, in the water surface, in any water it grows, in the shallow water of the pond or any kind of, even it grows in the very dirty water. That's why another name of lotus is pankaj, because it is lotus takes birth in the mud, in the muddy water, in the dirty muddy water also it can take birth and it can survive. So
this painting is a depiction of everyday life of women in India, which has been so beautifully portrayed by Madam. And at your back on the wall, we also find two other
mother
women.
and daughter, mother and child. That's a mother and
Child. And the other one is also a woman with multi-hands.
Woman with multi hands.
Yes.
That's Durga, and she is killing the demon, standing on the demon and killing.
Madam, you went abroad with a scholarship. Yes. Would you talk to us about that scholarship?
Just after completion of my master degree in Santinketan, I started teaching in a college called J.D. Birla College in which is actually opposite to my daughter's school, in a lane which is just right opposite to my daughter's school. But that time I didn't know it was J.D. Birla College. That time I didn't know that I'm going to have a girl child and the child is going to be in this school. So anyway, I was teaching in that college, and that time I received the Charles Wallace India Trust scholarship to study or sort of get a visiting MFA experience from the Glasgow School of Art UK. I could choose any other college or any other institution or any art studio there, any professional studio, and just work experience, have some work experience. But I was I did my masters already in India, so still I was in Glasgow School of Art in a visiting MFA experience. So, and this time I worked in the studio at Glasgow School of Art, and I also traveled widely in Europe, in different cities of Europe, to see the museums of art, the famous museums of art like Paris, Louvre, Picasso Museum, Rodin Museum. That time Pompidou Center was closed, and Musée d'Orsay, that was also closed for renovation. And there were several other museums in Paris, and I went to Amsterdam to see Vincent van Gogh's works, and there were Rijksmuseum, Stedelijk Museum, different other museums, and I saw Rembrandt's. She's sort of ex-sex worker, but they call the senior ladies, they call Masi. So she has become a Mashi or Masi, and she was elderly, but they cannot continue the business of sex working. So they, I don't know how they live their life, or they maybe take some commission from the younger sex workers. So I saw the elderly lady there, and I had a feeling, how do they live their life after this, when they become old? So I sketched some Indian people in the stations, in the railway stations, when I was a student, and I used those portraits in this painting. And this painting is directly inspired and influenced from Picasso's Demoiselles d'Avignon, and I did the painting like this is the old inhabitants of the brothel. So their faces are old, distorted, and not happy. They are not so-called beautiful faces, but the struggle of their life. And also during the lockdown, I had a feeling the labor people of the labor class, the working class people had to return home from different other states and other cities of India to their native place. And they were sort of in groups, and they started walking because all the vehicles stopped. There were no train for them, no buses, and people started walking in groups. So it was sort of an inspiration from the working class people, the hungry laborers returning home to their native place. This is an artwork with the hair. I did this during this longest ever lockdown, when there was no material to practice art. There was no canvas. I had some paper, but paper could be anything. It could be the computer printing paper, but it is not computer printing paper. Anyway, fortunately I had some paper, and I was combing my hair, and the hair that used to come out in my comb, I just made it like this and squeezed it and kept it in a bowl. I started keeping those hair every day, and then I started pasting it. This is representing a female vagina, and this is like a plate. The plate is surrounded by hair, like the border of a plate, and this is a big lobster and a fork and a knife. So this is a female vagina and a lobster, and the plate is surrounded by hair, and of course it's female hair because women have long hair, and a fork and a knife. And the psychoanalysis of this painting you people can do, the viewers can do, or a psychologist can do the psychoanalysis why I did this. But I have a whole series which is called Hairy Tale, and I can show you some of these pictures. Images of the Alpona, or the floral art, the flora and fauna, and this motif is from from Bangladesh, the other part of Bengal, which is now Bangladesh. Once it was part of India, and my ancestors immigrated from Bangladesh to India during independence, or I think before independence they had to immigrate. And these are the motifs of the conch. This Alpona, or the floral art, is called Shankholata. The motifs are called Shankholata motif or Shankholata Alpona, which is from the conch. and this is each of these round, and this thing represents a conch, and these are again a ring of hair, and this is a butterfly and female vagina again underneath the butterfly, and butterfly symbolizes during Hindu marriage, butterfly is the symbol of Prajapati Brahma, that is for marriage it is something symbol of creativity, I think. So there is a butterfly with the hair of female hair and a ring of hair around, and this motif of the conch like an alpana or floral art, and this is something like black fire. So this is actually a drawing, but it's a mixed media artwork with these strands of hair clustered and sort of squeezed together, and the squeezed hair all around.
Good evening, ma'am.
This is a painting called Going into the Womb of My Mother, or Going to the Womb of My Mother. So this is an entire dark space like the womb of my mother. We can't see the womb of my mother or womb of our mothers, because when we are born, I don't know whether we have the power to think. Probably we can, but whether our brain starts working, but we can't remember the darkness. Going into the darkness of my mother's womb. So definitely it's dark because the light from outside cannot go in. So this is a dark space surrounded by some strokes, some brush strokes of some color, and this is a baby's frock, my child's frock when she was very young, she was very little. Her frock, I pasted on it with some glue and painted with color, and these are some strings. I painted the whole canvas, not with a brush, not with any brush, but with these strings. One afternoon in the studio, I just put the canvas down on the floor, I poured some black color on it, and I used the strings, and I moved my hands this way, this way, this way, and painted this whole canvas. It became dark, I poured some other colors, so these colors marks you can see, and then it was done.
And the next painting that I see, ma'am?
This is a painting called Composition with the Mothers. Here you can see a mother is playing with a child, and a woman holding a flower here, and this is another woman. I think this woman is again Sorbojoya, the character of Bibhuti Bhushan Bandyopadhyay, the famous Bengali novelist, and the famous film, the movie which was done by Satyajit Ray, which was the most famous movie in 19th century, and this is in the 20th century, I think. So this is another woman eating a banana, and a mother pulling a child in a pram, another child in her lap. So this painting is called Composition with the Mothers.
Madam Eleena Banik is also an author, a creative person indeed. She's a painter and a writer, and this book is written in her mother tongue Bengali, which reads হ্যাঁ আমি প্রথম অবিবাহিত IVF মা, which means she is the first unmarried woman who became a mother through IVF. This is a book written by her about her life. This is another book by her, and this reads Eleanar Anki Buki, which means the way she paints. Scribbles, as she says.
Scribbles and doodles of Eleena.
This is
her story.
And this possibly is an excellent work by her, which reads Art in Public Space by Children. And ma'am would very briefly tell us about this.
Yeah, actually I feel all children are born artists. They are wonderful artists because they have the imagination power. They are very instinctive and spontaneous by nature. And the instantaneous and spontaneous quality that adds something in their art, or that doesn't need to add. It is a quality. It is something vibrant, colorful, and very forceful. Children's art, kids' art are very interesting and sometimes very colorful. Even they draw something with a pencil or charcoal or anything without any color also, they can make it a masterpiece. So I sort of wanted to work on the art of children, when children painting on the walls of their schools or some walls, or children painting on kites, children painting on umbrellas, or just on canvas surface, anywhere and everywhere. But children are very good artists, and that's what I wanted to highlight. And when we try to teach a child, we spoil the spontaneous quality of art. So we should not teach a child before the child reaches to the teenage, like at least 12, 13, 14. That time the imagination power goes down, and they enter into reality of life. And that time they can do realistic study, they can do drawing, they can learn art actually. They can take the art education. But before that, they can educate us, the adults, the adult artists and the whole society. If a child wishes to fly a bird, or if the child wishes to draw or paint an aeroplane, he or she will paint an aeroplane which will actually have the sorry.
Thank you. Ma'am, this is your painting and you call this a Kali.
It's an image of a goddess, yes, Kali, because she has 3 eyes, but Durga also has 3 eyes and a tongue. So I don't know really the difference of Durga and Kali so much, but the form of this goddess, the 3rd eye and the tongue out, the form of both the goddess inspires me. So in my paintings it sort of gets superimposed or overlapped, and that's how it is.
And Kali in India is a feminine deity, a symbol
Also
of
Durga.
women's strength. I do not know whether we would call it to be the goddess who started the patriarchal challenge. Maybe the goddess who inspired women not to remain silent but to speak out. And Madam Eleena, she is also such an inspiration for women in India because she has created certain trend, both in terms of choosing painting as a profession, in terms of the wonderful motherhood that she has. So this from India is a brave lady, and we also have here the brave lady's daughter with us, Omraboti. Omraboti, madam, if you would come over. And she was born literally after ma'am got separated with a donor father. So
Not
both
with the donor father. I was divorced, and after I think 7-8 years of my divorce, I decided to have a child, and that is not from the husband. I mean, not from the ex-husband even. It is a different person, and that's a donor father or my friend who helped me to get my child.
This is a story of courage, from a woman who is a painter, a trendsetter. Thank you very much from India. Thank you, madam.